Hey guys, Dr. Wan here. In this video, I'm going to share with you the first chapter of Laboratory Quality Management and Validation course, BSK 2223. In this chapter, there are 4 subtopics. The first subtopic is on overview of LQMS. What is QMS? A quality management system, in short, QMS, is a collection of business processes focused on consistently meeting customer requirements and enhancing their satisfaction. It is aligned with an organization purpose and strategic direction. It is expressed as the organizational goals and aspirations, policies, processes, documented information, and resources needed to implement and maintain the quality management system. When we say that we achieve a 99% level of quality, it means we are accepting the 1% error rate. So how big is 1%? This is the results of 1% failure. 3 bad landings at Orly Paris Airport per day. So guys, are you going to accept the 1% error rate after looking at this result? I hope that after you have learned all the chapters of QMS, you will be able to answer my question. As mentioned in the course introduction video, we will use the ISO 9001-2015 standard for quality management system. Thus, you need to be familiar with the important terms used in this standard. They are high-level structure, context of organization, leadership, risk-based thinking, process approach, and documented information. High-level structure, in short, HLS, is a new common format that has been developed for use in all management system standards with identical text headings. The ISO 9001 contains 10 clauses. They are the scope, normative references, terms and definition, context of the organization, leadership, planning, support, operation, performance evaluation, and improvement. Here is a map of the quality management system. Although ISO 9001 doesn't specifically require this, we should make sure that all processes encompass all the clauses in ISO 9001. Clause 1, 2, and 3 are nowhere to be found in this model. This means that the requirements are all contained from Clause 4 up to Clause 10. Then these clauses form part of the nuts and bolts of the quality management system. Remove any one of these critical parts and the system will break down. Each one of these clauses should function with one another within the plan, do, check, and act cycle. Look at this cycle as the engine of every business organization. In our case, this cycle is very crucial in order to achieve high quality of laboratory management. This is the engine designed to consistently produce quality results. If you want consistency and quality in your products and services, complete the PDCA cycle. ISO 9001 emphasis is on the importance of leadership and commitment. The leaders of the business organization in all levels should communicate the importance of meeting the expectation of the clients at all times. Customer focus is the name of the game. This is where the quality policy is established and communicated, and organizational rules, responsibilities, and authorities is also defined. Next term is risk-based thinking, namely how to identify risk and how to manage it. But what is risk and what does it mean to manage risk? Risk is defined as the effect of uncertainty on an expected result. In a simple word, It is an event that can potentially obstruct or hinder the operations, whether it is directly or indirectly, which in turn will affect the service delivery. The risks we have to manage evolve quickly. We need to make sure we manage risks so that we minimize their threats and maximize their potential. Here is one example of risk-based thinking. John Smith demonstrated the cutting of 32 meters of AMC 50FY. The cable was delivered as a 500-meter drum. John and two other colleagues have received specialist training in Holland in the use of the cutting machine. A previous contractor damaged a significant amount of cable, so the company took the decision to have proper training to reduce the damage risk. There has been no cable damage as the consequence. The risk here is the damage of cable. To reduce the risk, the company took the decision to send their contractor to have proper training. Next is process-based approach. The definition of process is activities using resources in order to enable transformation of inputs into value-added outputs. PDCA cycle can be used in the process approach. We can also incorporate opportunities and risks. A process can be in any format and any medium. A process must include adequate identification and description, review and approval for suitability and adequacy. It must be available where and when needed. It must have adequate internal controls, and it must be protected, stored, and preserved. The process must include a process objective, which is also known as the intended results. It requires input and expected outputs. It also must have operation and control criteria as well as mechanism for monitoring, measuring, and establishing performance indicators. And a process must include the responsibilities and authorities. It must identify resources, and when concerning human resources, it must also identify the competencies required in performing the work. The organization should address risks and opportunities related to the process in order to improve the process. One way of ensuring that a process has the required elements is by using the CPOC diagram. The CPOC diagram identifies the source of inputs, the inputs themselves, the process, activities, outputs, and the receivers of the outputs. It also facilitates the identification and treatment of risks and opportunities. Using the PDCA cycle, we are also able to make required changes to the process and identify improvement opportunities. The side part also offers internal controls. This may also be known as internal gates required by the ISO standard. These are different from audits. By the time an audit of the process is conducted, the work has already been completed. The process must have internal controls. Lastly, the documented information. Documented information is used to describe all quality management system documents and records. Documents are maintained, usually with version controls. Records are retained. Records are the evidence of activity. Information is defined as meaningful data, not required to be documented information. Documented information may be images or graphics. It may be audio, video, or both. It may be magnetic, electronic, optical, or analog. Documented information may be interactive, dynamic, or static. Documented information must have adequate identification and description. It must be reviewed and approved for suitability and adequacy. It must be available when and where needed. It must have adequate controls, and it must be protected, stored, and preserved. Also, it must be protected from unintentional alterations. Before we learn deeper on the requirements of quality management system, let's imagine that we are the owner of a laboratory and wanted to ensure that we achieve the intended results and quality. Thus, we need to understand and try to implement all the clauses in the ISO 9001 standard. Clause 4 of ISO 9001-2015 contains 4.1, Understanding the organization and its context. 4.2, Understanding the needs and expectations of interested parties. 4.3, Determining the scope of the quality management system. And 4.4, Quality management system and its process. Let's start with 4.1. Understanding the organization and its context, as stated by the standard organization, shall determine external and internal issues that are relevant to its purpose and its strategic direction, and that affect its ability to achieve the intended results of the quality management system. We are also required to monitor and review information related to the identified internal and external issues. External issues of the organization can be legal, market, cultural, technological, social, economic, international, national, regional, local, or any issues related to the business from an external perspective. Internal issues are the values, culture, knowledge, or performance of the business organization. Next is 4.2, which talks about understanding the needs and expectations of interested parties. As stated by the standard, due to the impact or potential impact on the organization's ability to consistently provide products and services that meet customer, applicable statutory and regulatory requirements, the organization shall determine interested parties that are relevant to the quality management system requirements. Your interested parties can be your customers, suppliers, investors, employees, and other stakeholders. It is followed by 4.3, which then states the importance of determining the scope of the quality management system. As stated by the standard, the organization shall determine the boundaries and applicability of the quality management system to establish the scope. Not all of the elements of ISO 9001 may be applicable to their size and nature of the organization. Thus, identifying what is applicable will clearly set the boundaries and applicability of the ISO 9001 to the quality management system. Lastly, 4.4, Quality management system and its processes. This is a good opportunity to design and develop the right processes, especially those processes that have vital impact to the quality of the products or services. In order to design the right process, consider the following important elements: inputs and outputs of the process, sequence and interaction, criteria, methods, measurement and indicators to ensure effective operation and control of the processes, resource requirements, responsibilities, methods for monitoring, measurement, evaluation, and required changes to achieve intended results. It is also important to note, as stated by the ISO 9001 standard, that the organization shall maintain documented information to the extent necessary to support the operation of the processes and retain documented information to the extent necessary you have confidence that the processes are being carried out as planned. Next subtopic is on leadership, which is Clause 5 in ISO 9001. Clause 5 consists of the following: 5.1 Leadership and Commitment, 5.2 Policy, 5.3 Organizational Roles, Responsibilities and Authorities. Let's talk about 5.1 Leadership and Commitment. The ISO 9001 emphasis is on leadership, where top management takes active participation and involvement in the planning, implementation, control, and improvement of the overall quality management system. Implementation of quality management system is the organization's strategic position that demonstrates commitment to the development and application of the quality management system and continual improvement of the organization. This commitment to the implementation of the quality management system must be demonstrated by the organization through informing the business organization and its people and its key stakeholders about the importance of meeting and exceeding customer requirements, compliance with legal and other requirements, establishing a quality policy and objective, and conducting regular management reviews, as well as providing needed sources. The quality policy is a clearly defined motherhood statement or high-level document containing statements about the overall direction of the business organization and its commitments to quality and customer satisfaction. It serves as a framework for quality objective. Meeting compliance and regulatory requirements is a vital element. The policy must provide a strong commitment that a continual improvement of the quality management system. The quality policy must be maintained as a documented information, be communicated within the organization, and be available to all interested parties. The last subsection is 5.3 or Organizational Rules, Responsibilities and Authorities. Responsibilities and authorities must be precisely defined and communicated to all levels of the organization. It is important to know who will do what and what is expected from each and every member of the organization. Accountability and responsibility is clearly defined and communicated across the organization. There is a clearly defined plan to ensure customer, statutory and regulatory requirements are understood clearly and met by the organization, and everybody in the organization understands why this is important. Organizational roles, responsibilities, and authorities are clearly assigned and understood. Expectations are made clearly as to who will do what. Regular conduct of management reviews are also ensured. Now, let's talk about Clause 6 of ISO 9001-2015. Benjamin Franklin once said, "By failing to prepare, you are preparing to fail." This is exactly what the ISO 9001-2015 Clause 6 is for. Clause 6 is about action to address risk, quality objective and planning to achieve them, and planning of changes. Clause 6 uses a risk-based thinking approach that correlates with their Clause 4. When planning for the quality management system, the organization shall consider the issues or goals referred to Clause 4.1 and 4.2, where the organization understands the organizational context and the needs and expectations of all parties involved. Clause 6.1 Actions to address risks and opportunities. This determines or anticipates the risks and opportunities that need to be addressed. In doing this, the organization will be able to ensure that the quality management system can achieve its intended output, prevent or reduce risks that may affect the organization, and achieve continual improvement. Options to address risks can include avoiding risk, taking risk in order to pursue an opportunity, eliminating the risk source, changing the likelihood or consequences, sharing the risk for attaining risk by informed decision. Opportunities can also lead to innovation or the adoption of new practices, launching new products, opening new markets, addressing new customers, building partnership, using new technology, and other desirable and viable possibilities to address these organizations or its customers' needs. When planning its quality management system, the top management must implement and promote a culture of risk-based thinking throughout the organization to determine and address their risks and opportunities associated with providing assurance that the quality management system can achieve its intended result. In order to achieve the end results more effectively, the organization should establish quality objectives at relevant functions, levels, and processes needed for the quality management system. 6.2 Quality objective and planning to achieve them. The quality objective shall be consistent with the quality policy. This includes sticking to your end results and reminding the team to keep their eyes on the prize. Be measurable and make sure that everything done can be subjective to evaluation. Be relevant to conformity of products and services and to enhancement of customer satisfaction. Be monitored, be communicated, be updated as appropriate. Now, what has to be determined in order to populate the quality objective to the end results? The organization has to anticipate what will be done, what resources will be required, who will be responsible, when it will be completed, and how the results will be evaluated. The continuity and effectiveness of your quality management system must be substantially maintained in the event of significant changes in your QMS or organization. In case various change in management, ownership, relegation, technology brought up or shift in customer base, changes must be carefully planned so as not to disrupt your organization's ongoing capability and responsibility to effectively meet customer and regulatory requirements. Clause 6.3 or the planning of the changes, organization shall consider the purpose of the changes and their potential consequences, the integrity of the quality management system, the availability of resources, the allocation or reallocation of responsibilities and authorities. This is why planning is a crucial factor in the quality management system process, because this is where you build based which direction that the organization will be steered and your QMS intends that it achieve the plan and results. Now we have learned on the requirements of Clause 4 until 6 of ISO 9001-2015. In the next video, we will discuss Clause 7 or support in details. So see you in the next video. Bye!
Please scan the QR code for your attendance.